Alright, time for another highly important lecture within the context of this course on the standard error. Now, as you know by now, normal distributions are described by two values, their mean and their standard deviation. And we also just learned that, according to the central limit theorem, the means from large enough samples follow a normal distribution. So if we wanted to describe that normal distribution of the sample means, then the mean will be the same as its population's mean, but the standard deviation is different and it's known as the standard error. So the standard error is just the standard deviation of the sample means around the population mean. And to calculate the standard error, you simply divide the standard deviation of the population by the square root of the sample size. And since the sample size is on the denominator here, well then, as sample size increases, then the standard error decreases. Now, in our example of Airbnb prices in New York City, the population mean is 172 and the standard deviation is 144. So, if we assume a sample size of 30 prices, then we divide 144, which is a population standard deviation, divided by the square root of 30, and get a standard error of 26.3. And what this does is that it lets us build this sampling distribution of the mean with a mean of 172 and a standard deviation of 26.3, which is our standard error. And keep in mind that we built this distribution just by using the mean and standard deviation of the population. Because of the central limit theorem, we don't need to go out and take a single sample to know that it will belong to this sampling distribution right here. And that's the big breakthrough. I'll go over all the implications in the next lecture, but I'll start with the first one right now. If you have data on a population, like we do here, then you can use its sampling distribution of the mean to calculate the probability of getting a sample of a certain size with a certain mean. So if we take a sample of 30 Airbnb prices, for example, it's very likely that their average price will be between $150 and $200, since there is a lot of area under the curve in that range here. But it's highly unlikely that it will be below 100, again if we go by the sampling distribution of the mean.